How do you do? It's
Hi.
nice to meet you.
Good morning. Nice to meet you as well, Mr. Catalino. I'm here to conduct the interviews.
Please come in.
Thank you.
Have a seat.
Thank you.
Miss, you have very nice legs.
Thank you, Mr. Catalino. I'm not here to talk about my legs.
Yeah, okay, whatever.
Let's start by talking about Chuck Lake. I understand he and you are quite close. What can you tell me about Chuck?
He's a brilliant guy. He's the best operations guy I've ever met. Extremely anal. Paranoid to the extreme.
Paranoid?
Well, sure. He has cameras and microphones all over the building.
Is there one in here?
Don't look directly at it, but it's hidden in that pipe fitting next to the flying pig.
What else can you tell me about Chuck?
Did you know Chuck is from Ohio?
No, I didn't.
Have you ever heard of the Ohio Dwarf Strangler?
No, I haven't.
Well, between 1972 and 1980, there were 16 dwarves strangled in central Ohio. In 1980, Chuck moved to Pennsylvania and the strangling stopped. Coincidence? I don't think so. The dwarf population has never recovered in that part of Ohio. Kind of sad. I see him looking kind of funny at George once in a while.
Let's move on. How do you feel about Mike McKeever?
Who?
Mike McKeever?
Does he work here?
He's on my list.
That's strange. I don't think I know him.
Okay, well, let's move on. What can you tell me about Steve Brown?
Yeah, Steve, he's our HR guy. Pretty darn good one, too. But you know, he goes around acting like this animal lover. You know, PETA kind of guy. The other day, I'm driving behind him and he runs over a squirrel. Never even touched his brakes. I stopped and picked the little guy up. He was squashed. I picked the poor thing up and drove back to the office. I drove by Steve's truck and tossed the squirrel in the bed of Steve's truck. I bet he wonders where that came from.
Do you know who Mark Erickson is?
Well, sure. He's the future leader of the company. We have a lot riding on Mark's success. Of course, I hope my concerns are unfounded.
Unfounded?
Well, yes. You see, right before he moved down here, we were entertaining some customers. And after they left, we had about 40 beers left in the refrigerator.
Why is that a problem?
Well, initially it wasn't, until I started noticing the beer disappearing. First the Heineken, then the Budweiser, finally the light beer. I started to look in his waste paper basket every morning before he got here. I never found any empties. It's like somebody was emptying his trash every night. Very strange.
Yes, well, strange may be an understatement. Why don't we move along to Randy Allman?
Sure, Randy's a great salesman. One of the best real sprinklermen I know. But it's curious.
How's that?
Well, he goes around talking about all these conservative values. Sometimes you would think you were hearing Rush Limbaugh himself. Then I walk into his office, and he has a President Obama bobblehead bouncing around his computer screen. I think he's a closet Democrat. He probably voted for the guy.
Okay, perhaps you can give me some insight into George Stanley.
Well, George has been here forever. I think it's like 52 years or so. He's one of the smartest people I have ever worked with.
Can you give me an example?
Well, sure I can. He has everyone around here fooled. He goes around talking about all these NFPA committees he supposedly sits on.
And?
I checked him out. They never heard of him. He's always saying, well, I'm off to NFPA such and such in San Francisco. Or I'm going to NFPA this and that in Las Vegas. Be back next week after NFPA blah blah in New York. He's just flying around the country, eating, drinking, and taking pictures. I really don't care. Gives me more time to poke around his office when he's not here.
You poke around his office?
Well, sure.
I suppose you have some thoughts on Robert Jolly.
I do. I really like Robert a lot. He's a talented CFO, but he has these organizational challenges.
How so?
Well, he's always searching through these piles of paper on his desk. So I go in there once a week, and you know, I might take this pile and just turn it over. I might take this pile and maybe mix it with this pile over here.
Do you believe that helps?
Well, sure. I'm just trying to help the guy get organized once and for all.
Okay, let's move on to Alan Wigington.
A-Dub has more energy and drive than any other three people that I know of combined. I saw him the other day run by outside my window. He must have been on a 3-minute mile pace. Oh look, there he goes now. No. Oh yeah, then I saw him last Saturday morning. I was driving up International Parkway and I dropped my cigarette. I'm looking down at the floor trying to find where it is, and I look up and there's A.W. riding his bike. I swerved just in time to miss him. I looked back, he was shaking his fist at me. I just floored it. He saw me the next week and asked me where I was on Saturday. I told him I was volunteering at the homeless shelter. I think he bought it. Never did find that damn cigarette.
Anything else?
No, that's it.
Well, that just leaves Don. Tell me about him.
Don's great. Great team leader. Best boss ever had.
That's all you want to say about Don?
I think that covers it.
Okay. Thank you for your time, Mr. Capolino. I appreciate it.
You're quite welcome. I hope you found this as insightful as I did.
Yes. Thank you. That was probably the most bizarre interview I've ever conducted. I can't wait to meet the other team members.
McKeever. I can't place him. Well, if he works here, I don't know nothing about it.